Hello, welcome back. I am officially in my third trimester, which means I am prepping for postpartum. I think that while labor itself is such a daunting task to prepare for, and I spend a lot of time thinking and researching and learning best practices for labor, postpartum I think is just as important and something that I think unfortunately a lot of women don't think about until they're actively in it and experiencing it. And I want to be as prepared as possible so that I don't run into any issues when it comes to my postpartum. My dog is drinking water. You can probably hear that. Any day, Bubba. Okay. So the first thing that I'm wanting to really start prepping as I'm going into my 30th week of pregnancy is bone broth. The reason why I want to do this is it's really easy to do. I have to do it in bulk since I am cleaning out our freezer from the 4th of a cow that we got last year, and we're getting ready to prep for our next cow order. So I'm gonna make this in bulk. I'm going to can it, and I'll be able to use this for soup, which is, even though I'm having a summer baby, soup is one of the most recommended things to have postpartum as part of that first 40 days after giving birth. So prepping to have bone broth for soup. I like to cook my rice in bone broth to add extra protein and collagen. But then also finding ways to add it into other recipes, just drinking it straight as well to get all of those amazing nutrients, collagen, protein, everything that you want to start adding back into your body after that huge change of labor. So I'm going to walk you through how I am doing this, and really excited and looking forward to reaping the benefits of this bone broth. To make my bone broth, I am using beef soup bones that came with our 4th of a cow. So I have 2 packs of that. Shout out to Wright City Meat Company in Missouri, which is where we got our cow. I also have oxtail, which I'm gonna add into here as well. So my first step is going to be to lay all of these out on some baking dishes and put some olive oil on there and let those roast for a while, just to really get a nice, delicious flavor, and also just clean out any impurities that might be on there, and so we can get ready to add it to the crock pot where it's gonna simmer for the rest of the time. Let's go ahead and put this on. Careful, honey, it's really hot. Okay, I've had these going for about 30 minutes at 400 degrees. I did flip it once in the middle, and I did move it all onto one sheet. So they're still pretty compact since they were frozen. I just wanted to start that process of thawing them out and releasing some of those nutrients. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out and move them into our large stock pot to get that first round of boiling going so that we can do a strain after about 12 hours and move it into the crock pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these into my stock pot here, and hopefully without anything falling apart on me. see if we can fit this last one. It might be too big. All right, let me try another method. Okay, we have gotten all the bones into the stock pot. As you can see, super full to the brim. So we're just gonna keep an eye on this, keep letting it cook down and cook down so that we can eventually get it to the point where we're fully submerged. But what we will do is just start the process of getting everything cooked down here so we can eventually move it over to our crock pot. After about 2 hours, I went ahead and moved half of the bones over to the crock pot, and it's been 6 hours since then. So you can see the progress here, and back at the stock pot, everything is cooking down really nicely. And I'm gonna go ahead and prep for that first strain. So I'm gonna pull all those bones out, and we're gonna strain the liquid that is already done, so that we can remove some of the excess fat there and just keep straining this through to get it to a more pure bone broth consistency. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that exact same process to the stock pot as well. Go ahead and do that first round of straining, and hoping that we can just keep cooking these down to the point that we can get everything into one pot to continue cooking. So we'll go ahead and get all of these bones out, do that same process, and hopefully be able to merge these together to keep going on for the next round of cooking them down. I was able to go ahead and transfer both of the bone broths into one stock pot, so we'll have everything in one place and continue to cook it down from there. So in full transparency, I let this cook for about 2 more hours, and then I was ready for bed. That is pregnancy for you. So once I let this cook down, I did let it cool and put it in the fridge overnight so that I could continue with the cooking process the next day. It is the next morning. I have pulled all the bones out, and I'm just going to keep cooking so that we can keep straining that fat throughout. So I'm going to cook it, and every 2 hours or so, I'm going to run another strain and just do this from when I wake up to the evening, when I'm going to cool it down and start the process of getting ready to store this for freezing. So you can kind of keep an eye on it to when it matches the color and consistency that is best for you, but I do it in about 2-hour intervals from when I wake up to about dinner time so that we have time to let it cool down before we move to the freezing process. Now that we have that perfect bone broth color and consistency, I'm going to start filling my cans about 3/4 of the way to allow them to be able to expand in the freezer without actually breaking that glass. So
You can keep them shelf stable if you know how to do water canning or you have a canner pressure. I currently don't, so I'm just going to go ahead and freeze these and thaw them out when they're actually going to be used. But I'm also going to go in and fill some of my ice cube trays that I have and put those in the freezer so that I have some more single serve options too. So regardless of which cooking option I'm going with in my postpartum recovery process, I've got various amounts that are ready to be thawed so that everything stays perfectly fresh when I'm ready to cook it. Getting ahead of my postpartum recovery prep has taken a huge weight off of my shoulders, knowing that I can come home from the hospital with a game plan set to have the best recovery possible. I'm looking forward to sharing more of my prep as I get ready to go into delivery here within the next 10 weeks and sharing just more of my journey as we get into the end of pregnancy. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to stay along on my pregnancy and postpartum journey. And I wish you the best of luck regardless of where you currently are in your journey. Thanks for being here. I'll see you again soon.